Hello and welcome to Eternal Spirit with Paul Salmon. Now, I know I did say that we weren't going to do any more of my presenting, but Paul, you're just so you're so fascinating. You really are. And we've just got so much more to talk to Paul about. Paul has just given me a psychic reading in private. Fascinating.
Yeah, it just sort of came out more.
But it was really interesting. It's just...
That's different to a mediumship reading.
Oh, is it? Well, how's that?
Mediums, their job is to prove life after death, or life after life.
Right.
So, I did not get a family member of yours who passed on or anything like that. It just came out about you, your personality, which is in your psyche, in your auric field, if you like.
Oh.
So I could bring up the past, like, I don't want to go into too many personal things, but what happened in your private life, the way you felt a couple of years ago, what's going on here. Now, like I said to you, Felixstowe TV is going from strength to strength, and you're doing a wonderful job. But I do know there's something big as well on the outside of Felixstowe TV, which we don't have to go into.
No.
And I know things could spread wide with you or what you can be involved in. Right. And that could be very big. I'm not saying it will be. No. I hope it will be, but I know it's there.
It has potential.
It's got a hell of a lot of potential.
I know what he means, actually. And
I didn't until you told me, but I got a sense of something big happening, or potentially big. But at the same time, I know you're doing a grand job here, and everything's going fine here.
Oh,
and we could get bigger here, but I know there's something else. And
thank you.
So it's a difference between psychic. Psychic's in your auric field, which I can pull out. And
can you see it? Is it the aura?
Some people say they can.
Yeah. I
can't see it. I can see it to a limit, but I feel it more than I can see.
Right.
And
is it colours? Do you feel?
I just feel energies.
Right.
Some people see colours.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I do like doing is proving life after life by saying, "Well, I've got Uncle Tom who's passed on."
Yeah.
But we were just talking, and that came out about you.
Yeah.
You know, and your future plans and other things, which we won't go into.
All good things.
All good things. Yeah. But shall I tell you about my first ever?
I was going to say I'd love to know. Well, how long ago was that?
It must be about 3 years now, I think.
Right. So when you say your first ever, was this your first public?
Do you know, it's a lot of first evers.
Yeah.
It's my first ever encounter when I was at home washing up the dishes one day.
Uncountably? What does that mean?
I'll tell you that now then. I didn't know anything about mediumship or life after death or anything. I've seen mediums on telly.
Yes.
Like Doris Stokes, and I thought I want to do that one day, but I didn't know if it's true or what, about life after death. But my father passed away 20 odd years ago, and a few months afterwards, it's a Sunday afternoon, just doing my washing the dishes. My mum cooked and I washed the dishes.
Right.
And as I'm standing there, and it's a dull day, and all of a sudden, the kitchen burst into sunlight, and I felt so much love in my heart. And the voice said, "Everything's going to be all right." And I thought, oh my God, that must be my dad. So, because he only passed a couple of months before. Then the sunshine disappeared. Then I looked out the window and the sun wasn't shining. It was a hazy, foggy day, and it was a white sun, when it's white.
Yes, yes, wintry.
But I'll never forget the love I felt. And it only lasted a second.
Oh, wow.
But I carried that with me today, But the funny thing was, I thought, hang on, the voice what said everything's going to be all right, I realised was my voice. So I began over the years, I think, am I making it all up? But do you know what? The voices I hear now when I work is my voice. Because my guides, you've heard of spirit guides, use my brain box or whatever you like to talk to they're using my voice, so I hear my voice talking to myself. Now I hear other mediums and they hear other voices personalities but it's always my voice with me.
Right.
So I've got to learn, or I've had to learn over the years, what's me and what's my subconscious. Am I making it up or not?
Is there a defining line now?
No, there is now.
Yes.
I can now stand up in public and work, and I can say, "Oh, I've heard so-and-so talk to me about you," but it's my voice talking to me.
Right, but you know the difference between
yeah,
your thoughts
I've
and
done it a few years now.
your guides.
Yeah.
How
So
fascinating.
that's the first ever experience of, I call it an angelic experience, if you like.
Very
Because I don't know what else you call it.
emotional.
It was emotional. And I thought at the time, I want to go tell my mum. It was, and I thought, how can I? But I have now. It's taken a few years.
Your mother's lovely, by the way.
Oh yes, you met my mum, haven't you?
Yes, I have. She's a lovely lady.
But she believes it now. I took years to tell her what I do.
Really? Oh.
I used to say I'm going out to meet my friends, but I'd be going training to circle, we call it.
Oh gosh.
I never told her what I did, because you never knew. You don't know people's reactions.
Right.
I've had all types of reactions, Maureen, over the years. But
And very brave to go on stage. I can't imagine how you must have felt the first time.
oh, it's nerve-wracking.
Yes.
It was my first ever church appearance. That was nerve-wracking. And the funny thing was, I thought, right, I've been training for mediumship for a couple of years. My natural progression was to work in a spiritualist church. And I thought, well, it's a catch-22, because I had no teacher to introduce me to churches, to take me around at the time. I didn't have the nerve to phone up at church and say, look, can I have a go?
Right.
Because that's not the sort of thing you do, is it? So I was going to say believe it or not, but you will believe it. I sat on my bed one evening, I said, dear God, can you get a church to phone me up? Now what's the chance of that happening?
No.
The next day, someone from a spiritualist church rang me up and said, hello, I'm a president of a spiritualist church in Beccles, I believe it was. Would you like to come along and work? And I said, but I've never met you. She goes, no, I've not met you either, but I've heard by someone who knows someone about you.
Good grief.
So I actually worked in a church, and that's how I began. So that church, then I had the encouragement to phone other churches up, and I could actually say, I've worked in a spiritualist church.
Wow. And so do you believe in the power of prayer?
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But shall I tell you my first ever message at that church?
Is this the church at Beccles?
Yeah, this is the church I went to, which I worked at.
Which I think is incredibly brave.
Oh, thank you. I was really nervous.
Yes.
And I had about 40 people sat in a circle. And I mean, when we say church, it's not always like Anglican churches. Some churches are held in people's homes. This was in a St John Ambulance Centre.
Okay.
Once a week. And I heard a voice, and it said murder. And don't forget, it's my voice talking to me.
Good grief.
Right. So I knew someone in the congregation knew someone who'd been murdered. And I felt it was the man opposite me. So I said, look, can I come to you, sir? And I said, I believe you know someone who got murdered. And he said, oh yes, but about 40 years ago. I said, time doesn't matter over there.
Right.
I know that you know someone who got murdered. And my voice again said to me, yes, but I couldn't get my head around it. So I passed that message on to the man, and he burst out laughing. And his wife next to him burst out laughing as well.
Really?
Of course, I said, well, what are you laughing at? And he said, well, when they dragged the man's body out of the lake, he had no head.
Good grief.
So I had the murder victim telling me I couldn't get my head around it.
They've got a sense of humour.
He was having a laugh. Yeah. But it made sense.
Yes.
Because he came to he came to say, well, I'm still alive, and to the only man who knew about him.
Fantastic.
I mean, had his mum or dad or parents, family been there, I could have gave them the message. But it just so happened the man in the audience wasn't related, but he knew about that man's passing. He knew about the murder.
Grief.
And that formed the link. So,
oh, how fantastic as well for your very first effort as well.
Yeah, I was quite chuffed, you know.
Yes, I would
Pleased
have
with
been.
Because sometimes I just hear one word, like murder, right? But I prefer hearing a whole sentence. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Just pass on the. But when it's the odd word, I've got to make sense of it. So that word murder happened to coincide with a feeling about the man opposite me.
Great.
So I'm hearing and I'm sensing, feeling.
So you have to be very aware of everything when you're doing
You're so, well, we are called sensitives, you know, because we're sensitive to the other world and to people on the earth as well, you know. And so we keep all our senses open, plus the sixth sense and the sense of our body, because our bodies can talk to us as well, you know.
Can they?
I believe so. You know, it's like we become ill, the body weakens and what have you. And so someone passed with a heart attack, sometimes my heart flutters, or I'll ache, my body aches, my body will ache in the part. Say
That can be a painful experience then. Gosh.
It is and it isn't. Sometimes I find it difficult to breathe when someone passed away, you know.
Oh.
But once I give the message over, that will disappear.
Gosh.
Or if my arm feels broken, I say, oh, you broke your arm. And when it's acknowledged, that pain will disappear.
Oh, right.
So it's more of a mental pain.
Gosh,
you know.
yeah.
But,
So why can't it just be straightforward? Why can't they say, hello, I'm here to talk to Fred?
I don't know. Why can't it be telephone? Well, you know, to some people it can be. There was a man, I believe, years ago, could give names and addresses.
No.
Because his job was a postman. Yes, you're catching on, aren't you?
I am catching on now, yes.
The spirit guides could relate to him, and through his work and his knowledge, he could pass on addresses.
So as a conductor, it's all to do with who you are.
Yeah, as well.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm not going to say. There's something I've learned, and by expanding my knowledge, I can now see other types of people as well. Because I took this on board, you know. Yeah. I thought long and hard about this postman. And I thought, well, I want to see certain things. So I went away and I read books about a certain subject. And with that subject now, I can now see other things.
So you've learnt to improve your mediumship?
I believe so.
Well, I never.
And I'm always after improving myself. And that's the sort of person I am anyway. So, and I want to see other things. So I'm now going to go back home or whatever and do a bit more research, and hoping that I can be worked on to see the bigger picture about other things, you know.
So in a way, it's all to do with your mind.
Oh, it's all mind to mind anyway.
Mind.
It's mind to mind anyway, isn't it? The link up.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's just me. That's how I work. I've never heard. I don't know about other mediums how they work really. But I don't believe in being static. I believe in just expanding the knowledge if I can.
Yeah. And you're a very kind, nice person.
Oh, Maureen, stop it.
Yes, say it as it is. Because I'm not sure everybody has your character or mentality. Maybe not.
Could be good. It could be a bad thing as well, you know.
No, I would think it's always nice. The messages you give are meant in a
we try to
way.
Like I said to you once before, everything's done with love, you know. It's just on this earth plane that there's not a lot of love to go around sometimes.
Yes.
I'm not liked by everyone.
Oh.
But let's not go into maybe someone don't like my personality, or there's people don't like what I do anyway, you know.
Well, people can be very frightened as well of the unknown.
Fear and, yes.
But love guides everything.
Yeah.
Oh, just fascinating.
Yeah.
And also orbs. You're Mr. Orbs, aren't you? Because
yes, and I've got the T-shirt. I told you. Someone actually made me a T-shirt. You know, they put on the orb expert, but I'm not an expert because you're always learning.
But you have an affinity to orbs that not everybody has.
Yeah, but that's another thing, you see. I did wonder, how can I take photos of orbs? But you know what? I used to want to be a photographer.
Oh.
and that's always been a hobby of mine.
Right.
And I've always kept a camera with me over the years, not knowing about orbs, and being an arty type of person, I believe that's where the affinity is, you know. With the link up with my interest in photographs,
Yeah.
I can now take orbs.
Because every time you take a photo, you can see practically every time there's an orb there.
Every session,
Yeah.
every time I take photographs, there's always one or two, or I don't know, even a half dozen photographs when orbs appear.
But not everyone can do that, can they?
No, I mean quite a lot of people can.
Yes, but I know people have been here when you've taken a picture and they've taken the same picture and they haven't got an orb.
But you took one of me, of
Yes.
an orb on my shoulder.
Yes.
So you got the gift there, Maureen. Maybe you'll have to develop your interest, you know.
Well.
But don't forget, we've got cameras filming us now.
Yeah.
So you've got an affinity as well with photographic work now.
Oh.
So maybe that's another interest for you to get into.
Right.
So, but you don't need any expensive equipment. Just you've seen my camera.
Yes.
Just a little pocket-sized one.
Yes, and wherever you film, there's an orb.
But they're here anyway, Maureen. You know, the spirit world. Your friends and family might be here now, just watching us, our guides, our loved ones. But just happens that I take photographs.
It's very comforting to think that
But I think so.
loved ones are around.
I think so.
I don't know about you, but that gives me a lot of comfort.
Yeah, I don't know about you. Yeah.
But I think that's utterly fascinating. And I had to drag you in here. I dragged him in here. He wasn't going to come today. But to know how you started was so fascinating and so brave. I don't think anyone realises this. It takes a nerve when you're new.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to come
but
through.
I'll tell you why. It's because of my fear of death. I had a fear of death, which I think I might have told you before, about 30 years.
Yeah.
But, do you know, I think I had to suffer that for my work, if you like. Because now I know we don't die. It's my passion to let others know. So that's where the passion comes from.
Right.
And I forced myself into the church, and I forced myself to, because I find it amazing.
Yeah.
See, I used to think mediums were actually born into some, I don't know, secret society or born with a gift. It's true and it's not true. It's true that in a sense we're all born with a gift.
Right.
But some have it more than others, and some develop it more than others.
Right.
See, so people think, oh, you're lucky you've got the gift. Well, it's not. It's damn hard work as well for some, like me. Yes, I found out I had the gift, but I had to develop it over the years as well.
So you've worked very hard at this.
I've
This
worked very
hasn't-
hard.
You haven't woken up one day and there it was.
No.
No. Goodness.
It took another Well, I had that experience in the kitchen
Yes.
without knowing anything.
Wonderful.
Then I
experience.
just happened to go to church one day, and another medium said, "You've got the gift." So I began working on it.
I wonder where that came from. What made you actually?
But
decide
what
to
made me
start?
decide to do it was my fear of death. I had to learn more. So I used to end up in the church libraries, you know, looking at books and listening to the old cassettes.
Yeah.
Not DVDs. Cassettes with meditations on them, you know.
Oh, right. Is meditation part of it?
Meditation is part of it. But you know, you can do a walking meditation. You can do your shopping and meditate.
Can you?
Yes.
How?
Just by being open, you know. When I take my dog out for walks, I walk in the fields, and that's my meditation as well. Just by being open, by being aware of nature, of God's creation. You know.
Right.
You don't have to sit at home with your eyes shut tight, you know, chanting. Well, you can, and I do. But if I haven't got time, then I go for a walk, or, you know.
Fascinating. So we can all meditate just by appreciating the openness of where you are.
I believe so.
Well, that's quite interesting. That might be something we can all try, actually. Do you get something from that? What do you get from a meditation like that?
There's quite a few things. I mean, yes, it opens you up to be receptive to my guides, to pass on messages. But it's also a case of becoming sensitive and becoming aware of nature and of yourself. and a sense of peace as well.
I was going to say, do you get peace?
Oh
from
yeah,
it?
lots of it.
Oh.
But then anyone can, you know, if you had a bad day at work, go out into the countryside or you know, scream if you like. But for me, I just go out and do it anyway.
There's a tension release as well. I think that sounds brilliant. I think I might give that a try.
Yeah, why not?
No, Paul, do you know, this has been utterly fascinating. I'm so glad I dragged him in, aren't you?
Dragged me in.
I did, I dragged him in. Every time it's fascinating, and I so hope you've enjoyed the programme today. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming
Thanks
in.
for having me again, Maureen.
Oh, anytime. And thank you so much for watching and sharing this with us, and look forward to seeing you next week on Eternal Spirit. Thank you and goodbye.